Ferrari are going to Miami with a car that should be opening up for cooling, not pulling itself tighter. That is the first shock in this story. Miami is one of the worst places on the calendar to gamble with heat, yet Ferrari look ready to arrive with a package that suggests they trust this car far more than most people realized, and far more than their rivals may have expected. That matters because Ferrari do not have the comfort of time. Mercedes have controlled the opening stretch of 2026. Antonelli leads on 72 points. Russell has 63. Leclerc sits on 49, and Hamilton is on 41. Those numbers are still close enough to fight, but only if Ferrari stop bleeding ground right now and finally give this title race a harder push before the gap starts feeling too comfortable for Mercedes. The pressure is what makes this feel dangerous. Leclerc has kept Ferrari alive. Hamilton did not come here to trail a faster Mercedes all spring, and Fred Vasseur has already admitted the team still need more straight-line performance. So before anyone talks about clever design, the first question is simple. Why do Ferrari believe Miami is the place to strike? And why do they seem so convinced this package can change the mood of their whole season? Ferrari do not need another weekend of hopeful signs. They need a real answer. Mercedes have won every Grand Prix and the sprint so far, which means the title race is already starting to tilt before the season reaches its next major phase. And that is the kind of early control that can change the confidence level inside every garage on the grid. That is why Miami feels bigger than one normal upgrade stops. Antonelli and Russell are not only stacking wins, they are reducing Ferrari's room for error every single race. And that is what makes this stretch so dangerous. If Ferrari leave Miami without cutting into that gap, the whole tone of their season starts changing from attack to recovery, and from belief to pressure, and the danger does not stop at Mercedes. McLaren are close enough to punish Ferrari for any wasted weekend, and that makes the pressure on this package even heavier than it already was. Before anyone judges what Ferrari are bringing, the next part matters most, because this car was always trying to be different, and that deeper story is where the real tension begins. The easy version of this story says Ferrari reacted to Mercedes and built a quick answer for Miami. The deeper version is a lot more interesting, and a lot more dangerous for the rest of the grid. The SF26 was already showing unusual rear-end ideas and aggressive active aero thinking before this race ever came into view, which means the seeds of this package were planted long before Miami became the focus. That changes how you look at the package completely. This is not one fresh bodywork tweak thrown together, because the team got nervous after Japan. It looks more like Ferrari have been building toward this moment for a while, shaping the car around a concept they believed would start making sense once the right circuit arrived, and once the right conditions forced every team to reveal what their philosophy really is. And that is why Miami matters so much. Ferrari are not only testing whether one new part works, they are testing whether the whole direction of the car has real teeth under pressure and can survive a full race weekend when everything gets harder. Once that becomes clear, the next question gets much sharper. Why is this track the place where the idea either comes alive or gets exposed in front of everyone? Miami is the kind of race that drags hidden weakness into the open. Heat builds fast. The long, fast sections keep asking for clean power, and the whole weekend punishes any car that cannot balance cooling, drag, and deployment at the same time. A team can talk confidently all week, then lose control of the story the second the track starts biting back and turning small limits into visible performance loss. That is why Ferrari tightening the car feels so bold. Most teams get more cautious when the temperature climbs. Because once the heat starts creeping through the package, performance disappears in layers, and the driver starts feeling it corner after corner. Ferrari seem to believe they can stay compact and still survive the punishment, and that is a very different kind of statement from a team that knows this weekend could shape the next phase of its season, but the outside shape is only half the fight. The real story was never only about bodywork, because a car can look sharp and still lose speed when the power delivery starts going uneven, and the lap begins to break apart in the wrong places. That is where this whole Miami gamble stops looking simple and starts becoming a full systems test with real consequences. A lot of people will watch Miami and focus only on what Ferrari changed on the outside. That is understandable, fine, but it misses the deeper problem that has been hanging over this car. In this era, straight line speed is not only about the car cutting through the air well, it is also about how cleanly the power unit and electric side of the package keep delivering when the driver keeps asking for more lap after lap. That is where Ferrari have looked vulnerable at times this season. Hamilton and Leclerc Leclerc have both had moments where the car did not seem to keep pulling the way a front-running Ferrari should, and that matters more than one bad straight because it changes how the whole lap feels from inside the cockpit. The pain of that is obvious, because you do not lose time only once. You lose confidence in how the lap is going to unfold when the pressure rises, so even if the reshaped package works aerodynamically, Ferrari still need the car to feel more stable in the way it gives power back to the drivers. Otherwise, Miami becomes a race where the idea looks smart, but the result still falls short when the stopwatch starts judging it, and once that risk appears clearly enough, the rivals around them become even more important to this story than they first seemed. Mercedes are the benchmark because they are already turning pace into wins with almost no wasted motion. Antonelli has looked like a real title leader, Russell has backed him up hard, and together they have made every rival feel the season moving away faster than expected. Ferrari are not chasing shadows here, they are chasing a team that already looks settled, fast and comfortable in the kind of position every rival wanted for itself. And McLaren matter because they are close enough to hurt Ferrari without even needing Mercedes to slip. Piastri and Norris are sitting in the kind of position where one missed Ferrari weekend can change the whole balance behind the leaders, and that keeps the pressure alive from both directions. That is the part many people keep ignoring when they talk only about a Ferrari versus Mercedes story, because the race for control behind the front is dangerous too. Then there is the wider field. Verstappen's slow start has changed the pressure map of the championship. Aston Martin remain part of the cooling and packaging conversation. Haas stay relevant through Behrman's growing profile. And Alpine are ready to take points whenever the bigger teams blink. Ferrari are not only trying to climb, they are trying to stop everyone else from closing in too, and that makes Miami feel even tighter. This is where Ferrari's Miami package becomes dangerous in both directions. A big upgrade always sounds exciting, but the real threat is what happens when several changes arrive together and do not all pull in the same direction once the car hits the track for real. That is how a weekend built around hope can turn into one spent chasing balance, setup, and missed correlation while the rivals keep collecting clean laps. If the floor, the tighter rear shaping, the airflow toward the back of the car, and the active aero behavior all work together, Ferrari could unlock a version of the SF26 that finally looks sharp enough to fight at the front on pace instead of only trying to stay close. But if one part behaves differently from what the team expected, the whole package starts asking questions the engineers do not want to answer on a race weekend. That is why Miami feels like a verdict, not a preview. Ferrari do not need this package to be interesting. They need it to be complete from the first serious runs onward. And by the time the key moments arrive, only one question will matter. Does this concept finally make Ferrari dangerous? Or does it only prove they were brave enough to try something different before the rest of the grid? If Ferrari get this right, the season changes tone immediately. Leclerc stops looking like the driver trying to limit damage and starts looking like someone who can push back into the title fight with real force. Hamilton also gets the first real chance to show what this project looks like when the car under him is built to attack instead of merely survive and manage weakness. If Ferrari get it wrong, the cost will be bigger than one bad Miami result. Mercedes will gain even more breathing room, McLaren will sense a real opening, and every coming Ferrari upgrade will arrive with more pressure than the last one, because doubt spreads quickly when a package carries this much expectation. That is how a season becomes heavy very fast, especially when the leaders already look calm and in control. So the real story was never about one clever part or one hot weather trick. It was about whether Ferrari built a 2026 idea strong enough to survive heat, pressure, and rivals who are already moving fast in every direction. Miami is where that answer starts showing itself, and Ferrari know it better than anyone, because this weekend could either relaunch their season or force them into a much harsher chase than they wanted.